Hello, Tansianine. Welcome to APTN National News Weekend. I'm Daryl Stranger. A small crowd gathered in front of the Native Friendship Center in Joliet this week to commemorate the 3rd anniversary of Joyce Echaquan's death. Echaquan, an Atikamekw mother of 7, died shortly after live streaming racist remarks from her caretakers at a Quebec hospital. Maricela Amador has this report.
Members of the Atikamekw community, advocates, and Indigenous leaders marched toward the Joliet Hospital where Joyce Echaquan died. Justice for Joyce! As echoes calling for justice reverberated through the streets, just like it did 3 years ago.
Aujourd'hui, on voulait se donner un moment d'arrêt, un moment où est-ce qu'on réfléchit à Joyce, à la femme qu'elle était, qu'est-ce qu'elle nous a donné comme héritage, puis qu'est-ce qu'elle a laissé aussi comme trou dans sa communauté, parce que les gens continuent de vivre les répercussions de son départ.
Echaquan's legacy includes Joyce's principle, which aims to guarantee to all Indigenous people the right to equitable treatment in Quebec's healthcare system.
Justice for Joyce! Justice for Joyce!
C.P. Flamand, the chef of the Atikamekw Council of Manawan, said that some gradual progress has been made.
En lien avec l'hôpital, il y a eu la mise en place d'un comité de réconciliation pour pouvoir discuter comment on peut améliorer les soins, comment on peut rétablir la confiance des membres de la communauté avec l'hôpital de Joliette. Mais encore, l'enjeu avec le gouvernement du Québec, c'est l'absence de reconnaissance du racisme systémique.
Consequently, the Quebec government has not adopted Joyce's principle, unlike a number of professional medical orders and organizations in the province.
D'après les membres de ma communauté, c'est préoccupant de devoir aller dans une institution où il y a eu une situation qui a eu lieu. Par exemple, le décès de Joyce Echaquan.
The chief added that the Joliet Hospital, the closest one to the Manawan Nation, must continue working towards building trust. Giselle Flamand, who is from Manawan, said that watching Joyce's live stream was very painful and heartbreaking.
L'impact est toujours là. Il va être toujours là si on n'avance pas, si on ne met pas les mains dans les mains avec les Autochtones. C'est ça qu'il faut faire. Il faut marcher ensemble pour que ça se règle.
Quebec's Indigenous Affairs Minister Ian Lafreniere attended the march but did not speak. Marjolaine Etienne, the president of the Quebec Native Women's Association, said it was important for her to be present at the march to honor Echaquan.
Cette journée où un drame est arrivé, on fait en sorte de se rappeler effectivement qu'est-ce qui est arrivé par rapport à Mme Joyce. Mais c'est aussi un moment pour nous de pouvoir se réunir et de pouvoir aussi se parler.
Maricela Amador, APTN National News, Joliet, Quebec.
During a time of truth and reconciliation, Scouts Canada has issued an apology for its role in the eradication of Indigenous peoples. Leaders say Scouting was the program of choice used alongside Christian religious institutions to strip First Nations, Métis, and Inuit youth of their cultural identities. Tamara Pimentel has more.
We are sincerely sorry for the historical harm that we believe we have inflicted on Indigenous children, families, communities and nations.
An apology from Scouts Canada acknowledging wrongdoings that have negatively impacted First Nations, Inuit and Métis people for over a century. Executive Commissioner Liam Burns says Scouting was prominent in Canada's residential and day school system. It was the program of choice used alongside the church to strip Indigenous youth of their identities.
It took things like land stewardship and skills and beliefs and tried to claim it as our own rather than something that their peoples have looked after for time immemorial.
Damon Johnson of the Aboriginal Council in Winnipeg listened to the apology. He had a positive experience as a youth in Scouts, but he says now children involved will be educated about the program's origin.
It's a good step forward and we welcome it. We're in a time of truth and reconciliation. We have the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People.
Burns says the values of Scouts Canada are based on kindness and respect. He says the organization hopes to make some changes including programming that is centred in Indigenous land-based knowledge.
We hope to co-design ways of making Scouting a safe place for young people from Indigenous backgrounds if they want to be part of it, but also making sure that for all young people our history is accurate, that we don't appropriate language and symbolism that isn't ours, and that we are seen as a friend and an ally to Indigenous peoples going forward.
As part of its apology, Scouts Canada is holding 4 in-person gatherings this month, with other events planned for Halifax, Vancouver Island, and Ottawa. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
The historic Fort Garry Hotel in Winnipeg was the setting for a historic night for the Manitoba NDP this week. A packed ballroom of NDP faithful celebrated as the results from the 43rd provincial election rolled in, with Wob Canoe riding the wave to the premier seat. APTN's Leanne Sanders was there and has more.
My dad wasn't allowed to vote when he was a young man. Tonight, his son was elected to lead the province.
The magnitude of Wob Canoe, Ojibwe born in Ontario, becoming Manitoba's first First Nation premier, was not lost on the province's new leader, addressing a jubilant crowd.
A lot of people in the big cities, they look down on us here in Manitoba. Flyover country, they said. Winter pay, man, it's cold out, they said. But look what little old Manitoba did tonight. Manitoba is something more progressive than any of those big cities ever did.
As of Wednesday morning, the NDP had won 30 seats, the PCs 19, and the Liberals 1. With 7 races still too tight to declare a winner. Speaking to reporters, Canoe acknowledged there was a lot of work ahead.
I'm going to try. And I think that's what our team staked our campaign on, is that we're going to try. Difficult things, like fixing healthcare right now, staffing up the healthcare system, trying to bring people together after the pandemic. These are difficult things.
Another difficult thing that Canoe promised was to search a Winnipeg area landfill for the remains of Indigenous women, victims of an alleged serial killer. While not giving a timeline, Canoe says it will happen.
It is an issue that needs to be pursued very quickly, because there's families who are grieving, and the administration of justice needs to move along promptly.
Other Indigenous members of his team, like Nahani Fontaine, who handily secured her 3rd consecutive term in the legislature, is excited for the future.
I think that our whole campaign was about bringing Manitoba together and working together towards a path of reconciliation, making sure that we're dealing with health care, making sure that we're dealing with the affordability crisis, and we're going to do that together.
One young Indigenous voter from Nelson House said knowing there's help coming from the NDP on issues like addictions and homelessness gives her hope.
Getting the landfill search, better health care, affordability, people, they need that. They need that right now. Homelessness is a chronic issue in Manitoba, and it's gotten worse over the last 4 years. So knowing that someone out there can help us and help people, it's amazing. It's a warming feeling.
Heather Stephenson, a veteran of 7 Manitoba elections, conceded the premier seat to Canoe after a disastrous campaign against searching the landfill. She stepped down as PC party leader, but she is keeping her seat in the legislature.
Mr. Canoe, I don't always agree on everything, but like me, I know that he loves this province and he loves the people of Manitoba. And I wish him all the best and will make every effort in a smooth transition in the premiership.
Dougald Lamont lost his seat in St. Boniface and resigned as Liberal leader. The party held 3 seats in the legislature, but that number is now down to 1. Leanne Sanders, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in the Northwest Territories were invited to visit a new monument in honor of their loved ones. Our reporter Charlotte Moore-Jacobs was at the unveiling ceremony.
It's a step towards commemoration for the ongoing crisis of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and two-spirited people. A large crowd gathers outside of the Legislative Assembly of the Northwest Territories this day of national action, October 4th, to witness the unveiling of a new monument, honoring those lives lost and the lives that continue to be lost. Erna Pokiak, an Inuvialuit artist, says she personally had loved ones in mind when creating this statue.
That are so young and so beautiful and so talented that are just gone too soon by somebody else's evil. And the justice that people have to seek and wait years and years and years to find that there's actually justice, or if there's going to be justice.
She received feedback from the Native Women's Association and regional governments on the design and location.
The vision was to make sure there was a fire pit for this reason, sitting by the fire with the benches. I think it's very important for families and friends who need a space for grieving.
According to Pokiak, the red parka signifies northern culture, feathers manufactured into an infinity symbol for Métis, the foundation a drum for Dene, and a quidlek for the Inuvialuit and Inuit. It's been 4 years since the national MMIWG inquiry released its 231 calls for justice, and advocates say little has changed.
This is not an Inuit thing. This is not a Dene thing. This is not a First Nations thing. This is not a Métis thing. This is a Canada issue.
On the minds of many here, missing Inuvialuit and Gwich'in man, Frank Rubin, who disappeared in Fort Smith in May.
No word of word was to me. Nothing.
Pokiak says she hopes monuments like this will remind governments of changes still needed when families report missing loved ones.
With the current situation of the struggles to find people who are still missing, it's even more important to have outside of the building that can help make some policy changes.
Charlotte Mort-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Supporters and families gathered in Whitehorse Wednesday to honor the National Day of Action for missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Around 100 people walked from the Whitehorse RCP detachment to a MMIWG 2S+ monument in the Rotary Peace Park. Flowers were handed out to symbolize the 44 missing and murdered women and girls in the territory. Space was also held for Ramona Peter, a missing Casca woman who was last seen in April of this year. Event speaker Christine Janier says it's up to everyone to help support Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit Plus people.
We are still disproportionately targeted, and we will be tomorrow. We have to look out for each other. Last year, I asked that of those who are coming as allies, who are coming as witness, to please look out for us.
It's time we take a short break. Plenty of news still to come, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to APTN National News Weekend. Geodesic greenhouses look like igloos, and they're popping up in remote communities across the country, all in an effort to fight food insecurity. Sav Jonesa has more.
Food insecurity in remote communities is a common issue. Many perishables, like vegetables, cost a lot to be shipped, which means fresh, affordable produce is hard to find.
People want what is fresh, what is local, what is healthy, what they know was put into it. They've created the fertilizer and the soil themselves. That's what people will want to eat.
That's Reagan Solotki, Executive Director of Green Igloo, a nonprofit that helps marginalized communities put fresh food on their table through projects like building greenhouses.
What we want to see is communities actually creating enough caloric content themselves. And now, don't get me wrong, I am not a vegetarian. I don't think you can fix all your problems of food insecurity, especially in Indigenous and First Nations communities, with just lettuce, obviously. But carrots, potatoes, onions, they are staples of a lot of diets. and they're expensive, they're heavy, it is hard for them to get to those remote communities. And, you know, a lot of people living on reserves or in those remote communities are struggling to get their basic needs met.
This year alone, Green Igloo has worked with 10 communities across Canada to build 27 greenhouses for their schools, food banks, and of course, the community.
This year, our 10 communities, 7 of them were fully funded through us finding funding for them. So we're trying to take all of those things off people's plates. You don't have a project manager that's able to put all of your energy into building this. Come work with us. We will help you with that.
Each project is designed to suit each community's needs and is owned and operated by the community with ongoing support from Green Igloo.
The community responds once they realize what the situation is, that it is their greenhouse, it is their community garden, it is their food infrastructure project, and that there are jobs that they are being attached to that are not with Green Igloo, that are actually with their community, and that they can do whatever they want to. We're really seeing wonderful input from the communities, ideas, lots of great workshops happening.
Sab Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta broke ground Wednesday on a $35 million transitional housing project for youth who have been part of the child welfare system. APTN's Chris Stewart has the details.
Next fall, Treaty 8 youth ages 15 to 26 who have been part of the Alberta child welfare system will have 2 new buildings in Edmonton to call home. Joyce Echaquan means North Star in Cree and Dene. It will provide supports for youth who aged out of the child welfare system. Supports like housing, a basic income, non-insured medical and dental, education-related costs, and more. This has been years in the making.
I'm very proud to be part of this group as a board member to see this day become a reality. And my hope is for the youth to be much more successful than we are today.
Chief Ramona Horseman told the crowd that the program will reconnect youth with their culture.
The child welfare system, the Western welfare system, has really been detrimental for our people, losing our languages, our cultural identity, and our connection to the Great Spirit and the Creator. And those are the things that we need to get back.
The location is in Ward Dene in Northeast Edmonton. Cree Métis City Councillor Aaron Paquette says supports like these are desperately needed.
Trauma just doesn't stop at 18. You know, you don't just suddenly become an adult and you have all the answers. There, you know, traditionally have been not enough supports for Indigenous youth, and so this is starting to turn that tide. They will have those supports. They will have the time to figure out what their dreams are, what their path will be, and what they need.
He says this $35 million project, funded $29 million by the federal government and $6 million from the City of Edmonton, will provide much-needed services.
And the fact that this will exist to give them that is just one of the things that, you know, for me growing up, what a difference it would have made. And for everyone in my generation and the generations that came before. And so for our youth to have this now coming for them, it fills my heart.
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
All right, a wonderful story about a young boy learning the family legacy from his father is coming right up after this final break. Welcome back. This next story is about a family legacy of fishing being passed on to the next generation. APTN's Tina House has this story about a 10-year-old boy learning the trade from his dad.
Alright, Sean, let's play this granny game. Okay. There. Press start.
10-year-old Michael Sparrow is just like any other young boy. He loves to hang out and play video games with his 7-year-old sister, Cheyenne. And he loves to ride a scooter in his neighborhood after school. Except Michael isn't exactly like other 10-year-olds. Michael gets up before sunrise and works full-time on the weekend and summers with his dad, Mike, on the family's fishing boat.
It's been pretty cool. When I was 7, I didn't really like the boat, but when I came out when I was like 8 years old or something, I started like really liking it.
And for Michael, he has become a valued crew member, often running hydraulics, sometimes steering the boat for his dad.
Tell me when to stop.
And for his dad, Mike Sparrow, it's a family legacy, being able to teach Michael because Mike was taught from his late dad, Lyle, when he was just a little boy. And now he's passing down the knowledge and family tradition.
It's definitely like my purpose in life. That's pretty much what it's been, is to pass on what I've learned and from my father, is to pass it on to my son, and to inspire him to work hard and put a strong work ethic into him, so that whether he fishes for a living or whatever he does, he'll know how to apply himself. And that's pretty much what I was taught.
It's hard without experience to cut it all properly, but you just start on a 3 and you'll see how it comes together for you.
Wilfred Wilson is a cousin, and today he's teaching little Michael about how to repair the net.
You know, young as he is, you see that slow advancement of the knowledge gathered, the physical abilities, desire, and it's all coming together for him, where he's got a good life in front of him if he so chooses to be on the water, in my opinion.
And for little Michael, he is taking this very seriously. Tell me about your favorite memory of being on the boat.
Catching a lot of fish and going seining, like we're about to do.
And today, they are fishing for salmon on the Fraser River.
It warms my heart to see him take such an interest in it, and he has right from day one. But really, it was mostly when COVID happened that he was with me exclusively, and we fished together a lot. Like, we were out 2 or 3 times a week, and he'd never miss a day. He was there every day.
And for Michael, staying overnight on the boat with his dad is very special to him.
Just like when we're like by ourselves, but we're about to go to sleep. It's like I always think about how much we're gonna catch like tomorrow.
Little bags in there.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
What a wonderful story that is, and a great way to end this APTN National News Weekend. For news anytime, make sure you visit our website, aptnnews.ca. For all of us here, thank you so much for joining us. Miigwech, and have a great weekend.